Okay, Falta Arash, you're all very welcome back. So, let's do a little bit of tidying on this brake light switch here. Let's put a bit of rubber tubing over this wire because it's just covered with electrical tape, so don't really like that. I want to do a bit of tidying up in the area. So I've also picked out some rubber lads that go over them little spiky lads there, the pegs, and the idea being they're just going to keep that little side plate nice and steady. So I've just put on a bit of tubing. It doesn't matter, it doesn't go the whole way. I took off 2 cable ties, and now what I'm doing is, because this bolt here is a lot thinner than that hole, I'm just going to put in a bit of rubber in there that I've cut, just a little bit of rubber like that, push it on through. The whole idea is that this will just stop it moving around a bit more. It'll be a bit more accurate. I don't want it staying on all the time, obviously. I have to adjust it so that when you take the pressure off the brake pedal, that the light goes out. That is basically the idea. So let's put on the nut loosely for the time being. Take up a bit of the slack. I'm going to put on this as well where it's meant to be. Push it down in there. Through the boot. Keep the wire out of the way. Hook on the spring, and then we can make a bit of an adjustment to the rubber tubing so that it's nice and tidy, like so. Now I would like to have all of this covered up a little bit more, being honest. Move the camera over a little bit. It's not very clear probably what I'm doing, so that's basically what I want, just to make things look a little bit more tidy and safe. Now I took off cable ties there, so I'm trying to figure out, should I go ahead and put that wire in behind? I think I probably should, instead of having it out the front. So I'll do that now. Now is the time to do that. I'll be able to do that, yeah. Take off the nut, the washer, off with the spring. We'll run that just in behind there, where we can cable tie everything neat and safe in out of the way. Okay, through it. Okay, so the video just stopped there. Anyway, so all I've done is I'm reusing these cable ties because they're nice and strong. I like how strong they are and neat they are. There's probably no need for this one, but we have it there. I just want to keep everything nice and tidy and safe. So now looking this way here, you can't see any wire till the end here, so I like that. I'll just turn on the ignition and make sure everything is working. And if you look here, we'll bring it back. Now, ignition is on. Slight press, and it's working. So that is a-okay. I like it to be lighten up with a slight press, because if you have traffic behind you, it's better and it's safer. They can see the brake light working at any sort of effort at all. You tend to keep them back a little bit from you. So while I was at it here, I was just spraying down a mudguard with a bit of WD-40. keep it all, keep the rust off it. I was just giving everything a chain guard, which actually isn't the correct one, I don't think. Definitely be getting the right one for that at some point. Giving all of that just a little bit of a clean. What I like with WD-40 is it actually takes off the tar even. So just work a bit of that in there, and around the shocks there, in behind, polish it all up. The line should go too fast. As you can hear, the weather is rotten. So there we go, putting on new rubber lads there, just to take up a bit of space. I fitted a new grommet there. Someone was doing a bit of repair work on this, but I'd say it's the original one. So a bit of filling going on there, I'd say. But that doesn't matter. So I'm going to put this on the workbench. We're in the parts wash. We're going to clean all of this down and we'll refit it. Okay, so we can refit now. Let's do a bit of tidying up as well with some paint there on it as well, just on the back there, some black enamel paint, and at least now it's more so rubber mounted. Shouldn't be wrapping. Not really gone on that knob, so I might take a look, see if there's something a little bit more period correct knocking about. I'm not really 100% sure what was meant to be there. I'm pretty sure that thing wasn't meant to be there. No, you can't. But it's not as if it's completely hidden. You can see it, like. So I might just have a quick look and see if there's something better than that knocking about. Okay, so continuing with the tidying up. This is a cable that stops the seat folding over fully, and it broke off and it's metal on the end of it. I think at the time I just put a bit of tape over the end to stop it earthing out. Well, not that it's going to go earthing into the seat, but obviously didn't want that. That is the back of the pan. That is the side plate that clips back on. Okay, I want to take that off because it's just annoying me. Might get a new one. That was just flapping the other side of the seat and it was doing no good really. Another quick job I just did there was for the wire for the rear lights there is going through a grommet, so I just pushed that down into the mudguard. It came up, so I want to have that protected. That's important. So now we'll go and fit this back behind our little side plate there, if that's the proper name for it. We'll get set up and get that fitted. Okay, so that's our square there. I presume that goes in there, or it goes in there, as I should say. It has to pull it. So that clips in there. So I might give him a little widening there just to hold him in place. That's the kind of part that will fall out when you lose. And it's nice that it's captive as well. So let's give him a little widening. So most of the videos that I watch and have watched on these Brit bikes are, put up by people who are experts on them, and I am no way an expert on these at all. I'm just trying my hand on them, but I will try and put up as much videos as I can of any of the work I do. I will slowly get there, I suppose. I'm looking forward to tuning things, because in the workshop manual it says that the slider is meant to be size 4, am I right in saying that? Size 3.5, and the main jet's meant to be 190. And then when I got this carb new, they tune it for you. In other words, they jet it and put the right slider in. That's the air slider, and your throttle cable will lift that up and allow more air in. Those sliders have a cutaway in them, and they're sized so a 3.5 will give less flow of air, so it'll basically give more fuel, I think. Am I right in saying that? Rich in the mixture. Whereas a size 4 is going to allow more air through, so it'll lean the mixture. So I'm just going to play around because I have a 3.5 new and I have a 4 new as well. So I'll play around until I get the right tuning done, and main jets as well. 170, 190, and then there was a 210 in the old carb on it. So we'll be able to play around with all of them until we get the right running to suit where it is at the moment, and to suit the engine and all of that, because it'll all be relative to where it is and the condition of the engine and all of that. So just a quick tidy up, that's all of this part here, and the brake light switch down there. Just tidied the wires in behind the frame, put on a bit of rubber tubing and pull that down. It just hides things a little bit more. So you want to make sure that that's not going to be rubbing, so we'll push it back a little bit. Okay, and there's a split pin missing in there as it comes out, so want to sort that out as well. So we'll go and get a split pin in a washer and put it behind that, and that'll sort that out. So the washer here, and that'll go in behind there. I hope you'll spaced in for a split pin. We do. So we'll get a nice split pin for that. It's a nice small one there. It's just to stop coming out, that's all. I presume that's what was in them. That's usually what's in them kind of things. It's a bit hard to bend it. Not great access to it. You have to bend it with my finger. A small screwdriver maybe. Just little tidy up jobs. That'll hopefully keep it safe and reliable. Okay, so that's that. Just another little thing ticked off the list. Okay, that's not going to get in the way of anything there at all. The chain definitely needs to be tensioned a bit. So I'll have to do that, because I noticed after letting off the throttle, when I give it throttle, there's a bit of slack in that. So I'd like it to be a bit smoother. So there you go, let's see what we'll do next. Okay, so the best way of testing the main jet in a carburetor is to bring it out for a spin, and that's exactly what I did today. So, because I didn't feel any noticeable difference in performance, acceleration or in power, not that I give it full throttle anyway, there's no need to, but I didn't notice any behavioural differences, and we'll say in the 190 from the 170, one way we can work out whether the 190 is too rich is to have a look at spark plug. So we'll take them out. If it's black and sooty, it's getting too much fuel, it's getting more than it needs. Oh, that's a nice sign, that. So what we're looking for is a tan brown colour. in near the electrode now. There's a bit of soot. Is there? Look at that. Let's get it to focus on it. My finger's not getting dirty. That is excellent, I think. That is exactly what we want to see. Thomas on a hostel in. That's exactly what we want to see. So based on that, I would say we're not far off the mark at the 190, and it is in the workshop manual. I must actually bring out the workshop manual out here, and I'll be able to show you some of the specs that they're looking for in the workshop manual for the jet on the carb and the air slider that we saw in the first video, being 3.5. So we did get size 4 air slider on this when we got the new carb. So I think we ended up having to change it back. My father changed it back to a 3.5. So that was 3.5 from the old carb that we put back in, but I have a new one got. So the next time the carb is coming apart, we'll throw back in 3.5, and we'll see. So we'll go around Vela, around to the other side here, and we'll see what this plug looks like, but I would imagine it'll be the exact same. Should be the exact same. So it's stormy here this evening, so apologies for the wind and noise. Winds are up to about 75 miles an hour in gusts. If this is tan and brown, oh yeah. We are very close to the mark, and my finger, it's only very slight soot. It's not what you'd call oily, dirty soot. So I think we are on the ball with 190. I was thinking if these were sooty, I'd be going back to my 170, or even I'd actually buy a 180. I'll buy a 180. I don't think there's any need now. We're just going back to the workshop manual, but I contacted the company that provided me with the new Amal carb. They said that they jet them up to modern standards. So we're no longer in 1968. The fuel is no longer as oily as it used to be. There's a lot more ethanol in fuel these days. We're on E10 now. It used to be E5, so it's doubled. So the symptoms, if you haven't watched the first video that I've been noticing in this engine and have noticed for a good while, is that when it gets up to full temperature and you come to a stop, or you're slowing down, especially when you're nearly stopped, it spits, and that's a sign of lean, too much air, and it often cuts out. So you come to a junction or a traffic light or whatever the case may be, it'll spit, and you're left then with the engine cut out, and you have to wheel it in off the road or out of the way, put it on the centre stand, main stand, and usually have to tickle the carb, even though it's very, very, like the engine's up to full temperature. You shouldn't have to tickle or flood the carb like you have to do to start from cold. So that tells me lean, or an air leak. So we'll just get the torch and I'll show you where an air leak could be. Like any petrol engine with a carburetor, it's at the flange there where it goes onto the intake manifold. So a very, very simple test for that is to get your easy start, or your eater as they would call it in some other countries, and spray it around there. Just around there, not in there, because it'll suck it in. And if your engine responds by revving or spluttering or whatever due to getting more fuel, you know that you have a leak there. So it's very easy to rule that out with that test. So I did that this morning when I started it and got it running. I just sprayed a bit around there and it didn't affect it whatsoever. So just ripped off it. So we don't have a leak there. Another place that you can have issues as well is when the exhaust isn't sealed onto the cylinder head. Now I have new inserts in there. I think they're called spigots. They screw into the head is threaded, so I have them because the original ones were very worn. So we'll get a look at the original ones and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So these are the lads I'm talking about. These are the ones that were in the head. This one is actually fairly square. There's not much wrong with that lad there. But this lad here is very worn and it was causing a leak. You can literally see where the soot gathered around it, whereas this one was perfect. But I replaced both of them with new. Leaking exhaust there causes spits as well. So, based on that, I was thinking the lean symptoms are basically your main jet, but then again when it's ticking over and up to about a quarter of the full rev range, it's on the idle jet, pilot jet. So that's why I did a bit of cleaning out in it. I did have 2 spits today as I was slowing down. So I suppose I was driving for about 5 miles, and as I came to the village I let off the throttle and it did spit once. Fairly bad as well, a fairly bad spit. But at the revs I was at, I wasn't going to cut out. So we'll have to do another little bit of research into that. It still could have been that the fuel was just a bit old. I splashed in some fresh fuel and I went to a petrol station and put in, filled the whole tank, like filled it up full of, not the whole way because again I won't use it. I put a certain, I think €12 or something into it, which is definitely all I'd ever be putting. Even about €10 all I'd be putting this at any one time, because to be honest with you, it lasts a long time. It's very good on fuel and I prefer to use and refill with fresh. So we'll see, does that make a difference? Get it up to temperature, let it idle, and then if it's spitting and farting, I have to look into other things. I'm going to check the valve clearance now as well, because that's something that you have to do. 0.02 of an inch on the intake side and 0.04 of an inch on the exhaust side. Very, very small clearance. So we'll definitely have a look at them and give them an adjustment. We screw off these lads here and you get the piston on compression stroke and bring it up towards top the center as close as possible, and make your adjustment there. And yeah, it's definitely a bit, I'm not 100% certain where the piston is at the moment, obviously, but we'll give them an adjustment and report back, see if they need an adjustment. They did sound a little bit tappety today, more so than before, so a little simple job like that, we'll tick it off the list and we'll move on to the next thing then. So there you go, there's your valve. That's push right down. So I have it on the main stand, but a timber under the main stand to give a bit more height so I can turn the back wheel instead of using the kickstart. And we watch that. What they say to do is, when one valve is fully down, you can adjust the other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch here. So that's up. And this other one on the inside is going right down. And there we go. That's fully down. So I'm going to make sure it's fully down. It's coming back up, so let's do that again. I am using the kickstarter here, but I can fine tune it with the wheel. Okay, that seems to be about there. And there's our valve clearance. So, what do they say in the book? They say in the book, exhaust should be 0.04 and inlet should be 2. Now, because this has symptoms still of running lean, it's going to run hotter, and because of modern fuel, things are going to heat up a bit more. And if they do, we're going to end up with less valve clearance. And I think maybe when the bike is up to temperature, some of the spitting could be due to push rods and all of that, which are new in this. Different metal, expanding a bit quicker, and maybe not having the same material in them as they would have originally, along with fuel and all of that. There's less petrol in petrol these days, so I think what we'll do is we're going to go with 0.02 of an inch more. So what I need to do is get in where the camera is. If we move the camera on the other side, maybe. Something wild as I do this. So 7/16 lock nut, loosen them off. There we go. And this little square head here, I've tried getting a spanner on it. It's smaller than my smallest spanner, and that's 6mm. I thought we might have got lucky with 1/4 inch. Just going to tighten up the adjuster fully there and just see where are we on adjustment. That's about it there. So it went very little. Like, that is, goes to show how little this needs to be. So I, as I said, like to go 2 thou more, and this is my, I have 2 sets of thickness gauges here, feeler gauges. I use these ones for the bike because you usually have to put a bend on them to get in underneath there to feel the clearance. Now, I probably should take the tank off to do this, really, but I know you're probably not able to see a whole lot, but as you can imagine, all I'm doing is just trying to get this in place where I can feel. That is all. So I'm loosen that out another good bit there till we can get this underneath it. Lots of space. And we'll adjust it down then. God, it's hard. I might have to take off the tank, I think, just to do it right. We're in there now. So when I get it in, I'm going to push down on it to make sure that what I'm feeling is the clearance. I presumed there was some better sort of a tool for doing this originally. So once I get it under, I'll push downwards. It's really springy. Yeah, so we're adjusted way too much there, which is what I want. So I want to get it in under. I want to feel it. I want to get an idea of what's going on. Okay, so let's just tighten that up a bit. No, this isn't exactly ideal. There must be some tool for taking this square head as well. Turning this square head. God, I tell you one, like a 6 thou feeler gauge ends up being fairly springy. Not wanting to go where you want it to go. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm fairly sure that you're not probably seeing a whole lot, but I'm going to keep having to play around there till I learn and have a feel of what exactly is going on. I want to have a better look in around to make sure that I have the feeler gauge in the right place and all that. I'll get it adjusted up and we'll come back. Okay, so I think I'll play around with it there. Adjusted it up, adjusted it down, got it to grip this a little bit, took it out, tried to put it back in, just trying to feel it basically. That's the kind of drag I think you would want on it, on any feeler gauge. So we'll try and tighten the lock nut now, and hold the little square lad there in place. He's not turning, so fairly tight there, so we'll just have a feel, take it out, go back in, make sure that it goes back under the rocker, in between the rocker and the valve, and if it does, yeah, if it does, we're good to go, I think. Probably don't have the bend on this 100%. No, it's not under it there again. God, it's fiddly. Some people say it has to nearly be 90 degrees, but I suppose that's when you have the tank off. When you have the tank on, it's a little bit more awkward. Yeah, I think tank off is the way to. This is an important adjustment. So I'd say tank off is going to be the way forward. Yeah. So You can hear it there. It'll sound a bit more healthy, alright, than 4/1000 of an inch, which I think, for the reasons I gave already, is probably a little bit, today's standards, a little bit tight, especially the 2000 of the intake. Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I'm going to give that a final nip. The adjuster didn't seem to turn the last time, so we'll give him a nip and make sure it doesn't. Check it again one more time, of course, before we say that that's done. Once it goes in, we're happy. Again, it should be a lot easier with the tank off. And it'd be a lot easier if you could actually see what you're doing 100%, because it's a bit obscured now. But I think we are just about there. It's just to get it under the rocker, that's all. Yeah. So that is basically roughly what I'm thinking. 6,000 on the front, 2 exhaust and 4 on the back. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the side. So basically the exact same. 6 feeler gauge is in place. Okay, it's too tight. So loosen it off. I've tried looking through my sockets, imperial and metric, go down to 4mm, and metric imperial, it goes right down as well to smaller and bigger than this square head, and nothing will fit it. So we'll just use this. Thankfully, they don't seem to move that much. There's the feel there when I'm tightening up the lock nut. So what I did with the other side was I turned the engine 3 or 4 times and then rechecked the valve clearance, and I was happy that it stayed the same. And I've moved over this side now. So my symptoms of spitting out the exhaust could easily have been the clearance set to the workshop manual specifications, and modern day parts and fuel are just expanding the metal a little bit too much due to higher temperatures, and causing these push rods or valves or whatever you want to expand and a little bit more than they should, giving less clearance or no clearance maybe when it's up to full temperature, and it comes back to ticking over, and all the heat around the engine can kind of nearly cause more expansion, and it just decides then at that point it wants to spit out the exhaust due to very little valve clearance, of none. So a bit of a nip, bit of a feel. We're gone too tight again, so it is following me a little bit. It would be nice to try and find out what proper tool was used for this and get it, because it's something I want to be able to check and adjust regularly, especially costs nothing, it's only time. So I'm probably gone a little bit tight again there, to the point where I'm struggling to get the feeler gauge underneath. In which case I am better off loosening it off, I think. Going back to square one, to be safe here. Get it back under and get the feel on it. Nip it up slowly, try and keep the adjuster from turning with the lock nut. I could have made it a little bit more. I know in the later times it seemed like there was a bit more space on them altogether. There's plenty there on that. I just need to get the rocker to lift now. get it in underneath it. Of course, I probably don't have the right bend on this. Maybe a little less severe bend might help me, just to get it under. There, we have it, had it under. God above, I can tell you. It's great that it's so accessible compared to taking off a fuel tank and a rocker cover and a tractor that I'm usually more experienced in working on. But by God, you'd want the right tools, we'll put it that way, the right tools. I'm not sure there was a special feeder gauge for this, not a normal straight one. This is bloody, I don't remember it being so awkward before. I think there's definitely the wrong bend on it. If there is a better set of feeder gauges, I might invest in them for this. This definitely should be enough of a gap there, but it's just my bend is not allowing it in. No. So I'm going to have a play around with that and I'll come back and we're back at that stage again, ready to give it a feel and a proper adjustment. So turn the engine a few times, just checking again now before I give a final lock up of the nut. I can still, that's still sliding in and out. So I'm happy with that. So give it a final nip and a final check then again. Now I need to get the proper tool to hold that lock. The adjuster there still. So I do not want to turn on with this. We're still going in and out there. That is still feeling, so that is good. Just going to make sure it's good and solid. It is turning with me, so don't like that. Not sure that any wonder it's turning when I'm not holding, I suppose. So I just want to make sure that we're still okay. My God, I tell you, this is awkward. This is awkward. This doesn't help that I probably don't have the right bend. But what we'll do is turn the engine over. So up fully. Now about there is where it goes down to the very, very end. Okay, here's the feel. Okay, and you'll hear it then as well. So we definitely have clearance. So that is okay. So that's what I'm going to do. With the fronts, 6/1000 of an inch, that's 2/1000 more. Leave a bit of room for heat expansion and we'll have a look at the rears. Okay, so did the same on this side here. Intake 4/1000 of an inch, so a little bit more than what would be recommended in the workshop manual. And you can feel it then, you can feel the little bit of clearance. I always like to feel that. So it'll be interesting to see if that's going to make a difference. So what I noticed on the other intake there is that the clearance was way too big, way too big a gap on the far side in there. So it needed a fair tightening. So that's done now. That should be an improvement. It is going to be an improvement. It was some reason, maybe I wasn't the lock nut wasn't tightened up enough or something, I don't know, but These are funny little lads to start sometimes. Yeah, for whatever reason, it was just a little bit too loose. So let's get the little wrench now just to tighten them up finally, but there's no need to do that until we have it running and starting and we're happy. But I have a feeling between adjusting the exhaust that little bit more and finding that one there that had two big clearance in it, I have a feeling we should see some difference. So it'll be interesting. My spitting out the exhaust could have been caused by the valve clearance just being a little bit too little. Make sure that lad's tight. Time will tell. Good little checks to make. Good little checks to make. Lovely maintenance. Enjoyable. Nice to take out your spark plug and see that it's definitely not running too rich. Right colour. I might invest in whatever spanner I need just to work that little adjuster up for the valve clearance to make it easier going forward instead of using pliers, because I can't get a spanner or a socket to fit it, being square headed. So, it's something I regularly check. Start it, run it, bring it for a spin, check it again. So I'm going to want that to be made as easy as possible, because it is basic maintenance on any Brit bike that has an engine like that. With most of them did here, I think they all did, yeah. So yeah, time will tell. We'll see if it makes any difference. We'll report back on it, of course, and we'll let you know if our spitting out the exhaust when it's up to temperature has got better, worse, or has stopped. Okay, so started this evening, ran it, got it up to temperature, gave it a bit of rev, brought it back to idle when it was up to temperature, and it's not spitting out the exhaust too much. Played around with the idle jet mixture screw, adjuster screw, and I think we're getting there. And the valve clearance, I think, has helped. For the first time in a long time, when it's up to temperature and I turn off the engine, I only have to kick it. Whereas up to now, I would have always had to tickle the carb. In other words, flood the carb to get it to start, no matter how hot the engine was. So I'm going to go with thinking that that is a success so far. Time will tell, but definitely the valve clearance on the front right hand exhaust was not right, and the left was probably not great either. And the spit was out one side. I think it was the right it was spitting out on, so maybe that was it. So we're going to leave it there for the valve clearance video. The next one is going to be fitting a 3.5 throttle slider into the carb instead of the 4, in the hope that that will richen up things a little bit more and maybe stop the spitting as well, due to probably being a little bit lean. So until the next time, slán go fóill.